Welcome to TYT Sports, everyone. Every Monday morning, Turks and Jurks. It's the name of the show. We talk about the NFL as a show, as an entity. We talk about the games, how it was produced, what dumb things announcers said. Some variation of the four of us will be here every Monday. Jayar Jackson, Cenk, Michael Shore, Ben Mankiewicz. We'll start with our own picks, our own Turks and Jurks of the weekend. Jayar, why don't you lead off?
We're starting with our Turks, am I right?
To start with our Turks.
I like to surprise sometimes with Brian Hoyer.
Yeah.
That's great, by the way. They were down the Browns, Cleveland Browns quarterback. First of all, it's based not in specifically the full comeback, but they were down to, 27-3 at halftime.
That's right.
He ended up with 19 of 31, 230 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, no fumbles. They ended up losing. The next time the Steelers scored was with 3 to 5 seconds left in the game to win it, obviously. So with all, we got Snickers commercials with Johnny Football, Johnny Football. Here we go. And Hoyer has to go through the entire preseason with them asking, so, Brian, when are you going to be backing up Johnny Football? He goes, I don't know. Right now, I'm the starter, so I need you guys to shut up. So he has to go through all this, and every time he says something confidently about himself, I'm sure there's a large amount of people that go, oh, look at this loser. Who is Brian Hoyer? He played great through all that extra adversity of a teammate. I'm not blaming Johnny Football. He has every right to want to start because I think he's going to be a great player. But right now, let's stop getting on this guy after he launched his comeback. During the whole first quarter, every shot was of Johnny Manziel on the sideline. When are they going to put Johnny in? I said, I don't know, maybe they should, is he going to play defense? So anyway, so Hoyer stood through all that and had a great game.
Yeah, and nothing is worse than the phrase Brian Football.
Yeah, yes. I was going to say, he's totally wrong. Brian-y football is the worst thing I've ever heard. And Jayar, you got to understand, the announcers can't wait to say, here's Johnny.
Here's
right.
Brian.
So,
Cenk, who's your Turk?
So there's a good argument to be made that Turk and Jurk should have been in that Browns game, right? But not the ones you're talking about. The Turk, Antonio Brown, for kicking that guy in the face, which was awesome. It is football. And Jurk for the Steelers defense for letting Brian fricking non-football Hoyer run all over them and throw all over them.
Right. By the way, Brian
That's
Football.
his good nickname.
Brian Football is going to be funny all year.
Yeah.
Okay, but my real Turk of the week is Chuck Pagano and Andrew Luck. Now, they lost, right? But I loved what I saw out of the Colts. Not they getting their ass handed to them in the beginning, but how they responded to that. I mean, there was not a second of let up, right? They're like, oh, we're in a massive deficit?
In Denver?
Well, yeah, in Denver? What name so? I don't care, right? No. I mean, boom, 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 their comeback. Look, even all their failed efforts, I loved.
Yeah.
So they're at the goal line. They're like, we're way down. A field goal isn't going to do it. We're going to go for it. It was a bungling, terrible play. I don't care. I'm going to come back. I'm going to start at the 10. I'm going to go again. Right?
They had the ball in Denver territory with 2 minutes to play and a chance to tie the game. It's amazing.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. But it's the attitude. Are we going to do an onside kick way earlier than 89% of coaches would have done, because we need to get the ball back so we can win. Throughout the entire thing, they believed they could win.
That's right.
Right? And we're going to go for it on fourth down and just that.
How much do you love the Colts over 9.5 right now?
Oh, first of all, two things about that. I bet the Colts in that game, Denver was favored by 9, so the Colts covered.
Yeah, that's right.
So thereby leading me to love the Colts even more. Okay, but put that aside. Second of all, oh my God, buy low, buy low. The Colts are a great team, right? So they lose the first game to a phenomenally talented Broncos. Buy low. I don't know if you can make a season-long bet at this point, but if you can, bet on the Colts.
And that loss was factored in already. I mean,
that's right. That's a loss you presume to have. Yeah. Michael, Turk.
I'm pulling a last-second change on this. My honorable mention is Frank Gore. He crossed 10,000 yards. I'm a homer, but he's a class guy. I've loved rooting for this guy. 10,000 yards with one team. Only 3 other players, I believe, have ever done it. So that's pretty cool. But my Turk of the week is Joe Buck, the announcer in that game. You don't really throw compliments out to Joe Buck that often. But they cut to Michael Sam on the sideline. He's on the practice squad of the Cowboys. And Joe Buck said, oh, there's Michael Sam, the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, signed with the practice squad this year. They had defensive troubles here, so all the good defense that they can get here is important, so it's probably a good signing. Cut away.
Right.
That was all they talked about.
That's
that was
good.
it. And I thought that was
I
fantastic.
like how Michael gives Turk of the Week based on class.
It's all class.
Yeah.
It's all
events
class.
there.
I by the way, but I like Joe Buck. I have no beef with
No, I don't have a huge beef. He dabbles in hyperbole too
No,
often,
I
but
like
they all do.
Joe. I like Joe Buck too, and I like how my honorable mention was a guy who got kicked someone else in the face.
Yeah,
right.
Class, all the way. My Turk of the Week was an easy call for me because my favorite bet of the week was the Buffalo Bills, which was a combination of liking the Bills and knowing that Jay Cutler would come through, right? And man, did he come through. But my Turk of the Week is Fred Jackson, Freddie football.
Yeah.
33. When running backs are 29, we start writing them off, whether it's in rotisserie or the actual NFL. And here's a guy at 33, 7 carries, 61 yards, 38 of them coming in overtime. I just couldn't have liked everything that he did more. He also caught 3 passes for 13 yards. They got 4 running backs on that team.
Yeah.
Dixon, Brown, Spiller, and Jackson. And at 33 to make that play and to take Chris Conte.
Stiff arm was crazy.
Twice at the 20, then again at the 10.
And he's
now,
slow. Fred Jackson's slow.
But
and
you know-
he's got a lot of heart.
He's not that slow. Yes, I mean, he's not a speedy running back, but he got through that line quick enough to get into the secondary and then make the play. Now, in Chris Conte's small defense, he explained that play. And of course, he ended the year as the only Bear who remained in zone coverage on the Randall Cobb touchdown that knocked the Bears out of the playoffs where everybody else went man. So Bear fans already hate Chris Conte. But in his defense on this play, he did say, hey, once he got down to the 20, I knew this game's over. They're kicking a field goal. I was trying to get him to fumble. So,
Oh, I see.
Which,
Okay.
if true, is a little bit defendable.
That's why
That
I
makes
got,
sense.
Yeah.
That's why I took the stiff arm to the face several
Yeah, so I
times.
took it.
I think honestly,
That was the first stiff arm. The second one was just.
Honestly, the stiff arm is so unfair. You're running backwards. I mean, it looks so bad. I tweeted and Instagrammed all about it because it's embarrassing. He ended up on his back. He pushed him 7 more yards the second time. The second stiff arm was in his rib cage. It was get out of here.
Totally,
So
yeah.
it's embarrassing, but you're coming from a disadvantage. You're running this way, and he has all the momentum. It's still embarrassing, but you're coming from a disadvantage.
And by the way, you're right that it's unfair because offense can do a stiff arm and defense can't.
yeah, in their face, right in their face.
All right, so my Turk of the Week is actually Alan Hurns. He's an undrafted wide receiver for Jacksonville Jaguars. And anyone who's ever played sports feels the same way, that you have this fantasy that if you have a chance to be on the big stage, you'd perform. And he performed. He was amazing. Over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. And it looked like they're going to put an ass whooping on the Eagles, who everyone thought was going to win that game because they had the biggest point spread. So Alan Hurns, for every man who ever dreamed of a big moment like that, he gets my vote. Honorable mention goes to Julius Thomas for being just awesome.
Alan Hurns, 4 catches, 110 yards. The first 2 receptions as his undrafted player, first 2 receptions were touchdowns. The last player to have his first 2 receptions touchdowns, Hall of Famer Charles Rogers.